What's the Hubbub? If a first-time viewer, welcome aboard! A brief introduction here on what the Hubbub is about. On this channel, we engage in civil fandom debate and discuss news and updates of DC Universe movies. I usually mix in some reactions and rebuttals to other channels' reactions as part of my content. What I do primarily is discuss the world of DC Comics within the superhero movie genre. I also discuss other superhero movies such as Marvel, Star Wars, other pop culture fun, and I get into other movies alongside occasional reviews. Right now, those are basically featured segments built around my main content focus, which really, right now, it's a DCU versus DCEU content-heavy channel. If you are new here, let's define that also. I can't assume, as a first-time viewer, you may know the ins and outs of it all. The DCU, DC Universe, is a new, unified, and soft rebooted cinematic universe under DC Studios, led by James Gunn and Peter Safran, replacing the former DC Extended Universe, DCEU, which was led by Zack Snyder and known as the SnyderVerse. If you are a returning viewer of the Hubbub, welcome back. Let's get started. So recently, 4KO, who runs a Restore the SnyderVerse channel, took the time to form a rebuttal on some areas of a recent video of mine, which is fair, as I do reactions to others within my content as well. Hey, I may not agree with what he said, but you know what? I'll give him credit for at least formulating a viewpoint and not being a coward to provide his take. I did think he skipped on a couple key points, though. I'll get to his remarks later in this video and my counter view as well. If it's mostly civil debate, it can be both useful and entertaining towards the overall DC fandom. I will get things rolling and attempt to give my perspective of defining the fandoms within the DC fandom culture. What's the point of attempting civil debate? Most of the time, we aren't going to change any minds, right? What can happen, though, is at least understanding why people are viewing things in a certain way. In the case of fandoms like the DC Comics movie universes, there is clearly a divide between fans of the current active DCU led by James Gunn and the retired DCEU, also known as the Snyderverse, which was led by Zack Snyder. Semi-ironically, both of those men grew up in the industry together and are friends. Their most die-hard fans, to the extremes of each side, are not always so friendly with each other, yet there are actually multiple sides. If I were to break this down into categories, I'd say you have the following. 1. Fans who like some of Zack's DC movies, but not all of them, and are willing to give the next visionary in James Gunn a chance with the DCU. 2. Fans who never liked Zack Snyder's DCEU. 3. Fans who loved the Snyderverse but hate James Gunn and want to find any way to get rid of Gunn and bring back Snyder. 4. Normies. They are more casual fans of the genre who don't have a specific side. Then what happens is you have almost a competition of winning over the normies crowd between the Gunverse DCU side and the Snyderverse DCEU side. I think where it can get muddled is a subcategory area where I'd describe that as the following. Snyderbros, which generally refers to passionate Zack Snyder, fans who strongly support his DC films and advocate for his creative vision, sometimes very vocally online. Then you have a step further into the Snyder cult, on the other hand, which is a critical term used for a toxic fringe within that fan base who engage in harassment, threats, or extreme behavior toward anyone who criticizes Snyder or supports other DC projects. The difference isn't about liking Snyder, it's about how people behave. On the Hubbub, I highlight and counter what I believe is misinformation, or a form of that, if not presented properly.
That is truthful.
Rumors presented as facts. I get called a shill that's worked with DC marketing, as if people don't tend to take careers in things that naturally interest them. I think that's such a weak insult. Within my actual career and being a small DC-centric channel, I do come across rumors at times which may or may not pan out. What I do, though, is state up front when it's a rumor. If it's something already true or backed up by sources, I try to provide the source. What a lot of the Restore SnyderVerse-centric channels are doing is, in my view, dishonest. They run a cosmic book news story, for example, that can be a clearly defined rumor, presented as fact if it helps their side and riles up their base. It's kind of like a MAGA crowd, but without the red hats. There are some Restore Snyder channels that make their engagement, farming content, nearly 100% about promoting James Gunn and the DCU as failing. Regardless of a perceived success, they want to force an angle of negative outlook. It's a hack for views and subs at this point. You can check some of these guys' channels. You'll see in their comment sections a lot of the same profiles commenting slogans about restoring the SnyderVerse. Those guys aren't exactly fans of their content either. They just search and visit every James Gunn-related YouTube topic to hashtag their propaganda. It's strange to have a dead DCEU SnyderVerse and see a comment like, "The DCU is dead and Snyder is winning. We can't be stopped," when Gunn's DCU is a literal active verse, with movies both developing and releasing in theaters. Zack Snyder has no DC movies in contract, let alone development. The Snyderverse is dead. It literally lost. It was stopped. So maybe those guys are trolling themselves, or just that delusional. It's odd for sure. You Snyderbros are mad that anyone even liking some of Snyder's movies dare move on to the next thing. That's like following a sports team and saying, "Well, my favorite quarterback retired. I'm not following the team or liking them anymore until they force him out of retirement and bench the new quarterback." Careful, Tom Brady is nearly 50, but might do it after that. Super Bowl performance Drake may, oh savvy. A difference with channels like Nerdrotic, Tyrone Magnus, John Campea, and Grace Randolph, all of which I've also covered on reactions here. By the way, 4KO and other large channels is this. They don't have to talk our niche category for views, which, let's be honest, is really James Gunn and Zack Snyder-centric talk. I'm upfront about it. That's what our audiences are interested in. If Tyrone Magnus talks Zack Snyder and James Gunn, for example, he gets views. But guess what? He's charismatic and interesting to his fans who agree or disagree with him at times about a multitude of subjects. He may talk about the latest TV show, video game, various movies, or general news going on. And guess what? People still watch. A lot of the Snyderbro channels in particular can't get views without James Gunn and SnyderVerse in the title. Some of those channels even hide their low-view videos by making them member-only to hide the low interest level. This starts to look like a grift to some because it's using a shortcut where some of those channels know there are Snyderbro viewers who look for any channel that's negative on Gunn and propping up Snyder. They aren't, for example, interested in some brilliant analysis by harsh critics. Quite frankly, they are a subculture looking for promoting their cause. Some refer to them as a loud minority. That's a concentrated segment, but they do exist clearly. The thing is, they aren't really fans of those channels. They are fans of a cause. A lot of pop culture areas have some cult fans, and usually wasn't a negative thing to even be a cult fan of something. With the next step in toxic evolution, though, in the Snyder cult, it is a toxic cult, though. You have fake stories about calling James Gunn a literal PDF when he's not done any crimes or acts on kids, all because your favorite director isn't in charge. Do you see how sick that is? Yes, he did taboo Twitter jokes, which you don't have to like, as I don't, but at least bother to understand it and separate the truth from it. Primarily, James Gunn did tweets that were RT pranks to make the person doing the retweet look like the originator. Many Snyderbros try to paint that as labeling him to have actually done acts. It's a vile cope out of not having Zack Snyder in charge. You have fake stories of the Saudis buying the WB churned out from Cosmic Book Cope News. You guys know it never happened and pretended it was real. Many Restore Snyder channels present it as confirmed official news for clicks and didn't even run with these as being rumors and clearly made up rumors at that. If you are going to debate, have some honesty about that. Also, come on, bro, you acted like my comment was overstepping some bounds. Riling up your subscribers over that is silly.
This is coming from Movie Hubbub. He says, I was able to debunk this one today. Sorrento's has Superman included in his list of movies doing well at the box office. You guys took two separate comments and melded them into one. Okay, two things. One, no, we didn't. We heard what the man said. I mean, am I deaf? Okay. Two, as a content creator, I don't have the time to be in other content creators' comment sections. Okay, this is stalking 101. Now, this conversation inspired Movie Hubbub to make a video. It is titled, James Gunn DCU. Netflix Ted Sarandos confirmed Superman a hit. Snyderbros cry meltdown. Now, he has done the same exact thing as Truth 31. He is blaming the coverage of this situation on that of Zack Snyder fans. Now,
do you really think that everything you say is going to be fully agreed with by everyone watching? That's unrealistic. Get real. What are you going to block everyone who disagrees? Pretend you are angry by rage, baiting over a very tame remark. Then later, as your cookie of cope crumbles, if you can't counter an argument and just give up, do you accept your loss like a man?
Let's agree to disagree.
Or just start acting like your feathers were ruffled too hard? It's a bit dramatic, to put it lightly. I'm not trying to overtly beef with you here, but that's my general perspective. Within your counter video, by the way, I didn't see you tackling a couple areas I critiqued. One being that Ted put Superman on his list of movies that did well at the box office. Zero counter to that. And it's an on-record, legitimate sourced mention. Two, Superman was in the 600 millions at the box office. And you claimed that it did close to the Aquaman sequel numbers.
Superman barely did more than Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. All right, he barely did more than that. And here it is. People out there are trying to portray the box office results as some major win or a huge hit.
That's not accurate. A gap of nearly $200 million isn't close. What is close? Gunn's Superman.
Good gosh, there's gotta be a better way to do this. Come on, be careful!
In 2025 did 617 million. Man of Steel in 2013 did 670 million. These did relatively the same in different eras, but moderate successes. You Snyderbros seem hell-bent on calling Superman a flop, which looks stupid because one can't be a flop without the other being one. This is called a counterpoint, not something to freak out over. The concept of civil debates shouldn't bother you unless you're on some shaky ground and can't handle it. Fair use reactions are a staple of YouTube content, really. Sometimes they are in agreement, and sometimes they are critical. Have you ever read what's included in fair use from the copyright statute, by the way? Such as this video, it includes reaction and commentary segments that are covered under the Copyright Act. Fair Use Section 107 of the Copyright Act states it can be for purposes of criticism, commentary, news reporting, or research and education. Having free speech isn't to only have your point of view freely acknowledged. Look at how it's described on terms of a free society. The purpose of free speech is to protect the open exchange of ideas, ensure democratic accountability, and foster individual self-fulfillment without fear of government retribution. It acts as a check on power, allowing for dissent, debate, and the search for truth, which are vital for a healthy, functioning society. With that said, I'm not promoting insults or personal attacks. Ideally, it's civil debate as the goal. With that, it was today's Hubbub. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this video on your favorite social media platforms. Use it to encourage some spirited debate in your favorite DC Facebook groups, for example. Keep the dialogue going. No SnyderVerse, no problem.